Trojan fans, welcome to another edition of the Peristyle Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, publisher of USCFootball.com. Joined alongside my buddy and pal, we call him Triple Double, Connor Morrissette, sitting in the driver's seat, automatic India Otto. You okay, Connor?
Yeah, okay.
He's okay. Good. Game day. It's almost game day. It's a short week. We're going to preview USC and Northwestern, probably talk a little bit about the trip to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Trojans won 21-17. And we have a special guest coming up right away to preview the game. But if you have any questions or comments, podcast at uscfootball.com is our email address. You can call or text us at 424-254-9141. We got a couple emails and some voicemails to get to later on in the show. And if you have Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can listen to the Peristyle Podcast there. Leave us a 5-star rating. We love all that. We love hearing your questions. It's a lot of fun. And we are going to be live. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. Follow us over there at Inside Troy. And but yeah, we got a special guest, India.
Yeah, as Ryan said, before we get into our show, we've got a special guest here with us. We've got Anna Watson from the Daily Northwestern here to preview the Northwestern Wildcats versus the Trojans on Friday. So let's bring it in. I'm going to step aside and let's have a good convo with Anna. Anna, thank you for being here.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we set this up like an hour and a half ago. So Anna doesn't have any class today apparently, so that's really good stuff. You're coming out. You're making the trip out here.
Yeah, it'll be my first time in California, so I'm super pumped. But yeah, making the trip Friday morning. Hopefully, get to see some good football Friday night. So
yeah, she's from the other LA, Louisiana, but
yes.
yeah, if you want to give everyone kind of a little background of how long you've been covering Northwestern and kind of what your role is over there at the Daily Northwestern.
Sure thing. So I'm a junior at Northwestern. This is my second year on the football beat for the Daily Northwestern, which is our student newspaper here. I'm the game day editor, which means I oversee all of our football coverage. So I edit all of our stories, coordinate all our coverage, and weekly getting to talk to Coach Braun and players and getting inside scoops on the team. So it's been a really fun 2 years, and I'm really excited to keep putting out new coverage and experiencing new things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Anna. When you look at Northwestern's schedule, so they start the year with a tough loss at Tulane, and then they had that defeat to Oregon in a game that wasn't as close as that final score indicates. But since then, 4-1, they did lose to Nebraska their last time out, coming off a bye. What's clicked for Northwestern since that slow start, and what's just been different for them the last few weeks?
I think the run game has really been a big help since Cam Porter went down earlier in the season, who was, big veteran in that running back room. We've really seen the emergence of Caleb Komolafe. He's just been dominating that side of the ball. I've really liked what we've seen from the offensive line. So, those two in coordination run basically this Northwestern offense along with Joe Hyman, their other running back, who they really get. Sometimes, rushing touches, those have been increasing over the past few weeks, but mostly through him, it's through the air. And also we've seen Preston Stone settle in. The past week, maybe we haven't seen that. Nebraska was definitely shaky, but transfer quarterback from SMU, Preston Stone, as you mentioned, that Tulane game was really rough for him. Not a great way to start off a new place, a new time at Northwestern, but we've seen him settle in, stop in the last few games. Again, Nebraska, that outlier, but that's really been Northwestern is sort of exceeded expectations to this point.
Looking at the middle of the schedule that Connor was just talking about, we've seen two teams sort of like, I don't know, it's like the Undertaker kind of wake up, and Northwestern's one of them, and then UCLA was the other one. Penn State was involved in both of those. But that UCLA trip to Northwestern, interesting because we didn't realize that UCLA was going to get pretty good and start winning some games after letting Deshaun Foster go. And then, so you had that, that week, and then followed with the Penn State game. And, what was that like, that sort of stretch? I mean, looking back, we didn't think much of UCLA, but now, that win actually looked pretty good the way they started playing around that game.
Yeah, that's really when I would say Northwestern started to turn it on and really show what it's made of. That first half against UCLA is pretty much the perfect half for Northwestern. It's the way that Preston Stone wanted to play. It's the way that the offense wanted to play. I think the defense really had to step up in that second half against UCLA to secure that win because the offense sort of went goodbye in that second half. But we saw that sort of continue, right? Going into, a packed crowd at Penn State, an environment that a lot of these Northwestern players hadn't seen before. And even through all the miscues that Northwestern had, this might be, because of the struggles that Penn State was also having, but you saw Preston Stone look comfortable in a very uncomfortable environment. And you also saw the defense make big stops along with Caleb Komalafe. Again, the constant theme throughout this season, just pushing this offense forward.
Anna, what are the strengths of the Northwestern defense and what are the weaknesses?
So I think Northwestern has done a really good job through defending the ball through the air, right? One of the better teams in the Big Ten against the passing offense. Now, obviously USC is going to be that biggest challenge, I think, so far this season. Everyone else has yet to really challenge like that. Oregon was a big challenge, but I don't really see the Wildcats, the early season Wildcats, as I see the Wildcats today. I think they're different teams, quite frankly. The other thing is the run defense I think is a really big weakness. You guys obviously had to watch Emmett Johnson just take over the game. Nebraska, Northwestern had to deal with a similar thing, 124 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns Nebraska had with Johnson in that game 2 weeks ago. And also I think there's a lot of opportunities for USC to take advantage in the quarterback run game. The first game of the season for Northwestern, Jake Retzloff was just dominant. Okay, like over 100 yards. That's more than Northwestern allowed until that Nebraska game. So that there's a big opportunity for USC there, and I think Northwestern has gotten better at defending those design quarterback runs and also trying to keep the quarterback contained in the pocket to limit those playmaking opportunities. But those are where I see sort of those big holes.
It's going to be interesting to see because Nebraska definitely had a really good pass defense, and Jayden Maiava was averaging over 10 yards an attempt, and Nebraska's defense was only allowing like 4.5. And I kind of felt like USC would be able to push the ball down the field, but he had his worst game as a Trojan. Yeah. I'm curious to see how he can bounce back with that. But how do you feel like this Northwestern defense, as far as the pass defense goes, why has it been so effective so far this season?
I think a little bit has to do with they've been a bit fortunate with who they're playing. They've been banged up a bit, but when their players have been on, they've been making some really big hustle heads-up plays, like Braden Turner, 2 turnovers in the past 2 games. It's all because really been a hustle. That Purdue game, he forced a fumble in the Purdue game. He got beat way down the field and then comes back and just punches the ball out. So I think it's really been about effort. I think you do have some of these guys who are veteran presence. Like in the linebacker room, Mac Uline has been a dominant force in coverage. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers in coverage that Northwestern has ever had, maybe in the Big Ten, 4 picks this season. So you have some of those guys who are leading the charge while this team has been banged up a bit. And you're starting to see Northwestern get back to full health in that aspect in the defensive back room as well.
I know last year wasn't great, but David Braun has really impressed me. The Northwestern head coach had a good first year this year, returning to form a little bit, a defensive guy. Just covering him and being around him, what are your thoughts on Coach Braun, and what are your thoughts on how he's done this season?
You can just tell how much Coach Braun means to this program. Everyone has glowing things to say to him. Every time I talk to a coach, I probably talk to a coach once a week, and it's just been a really big collaboration. And I think the culture is a huge reason why this team has been able to exceed expectations, maybe not last year, but certainly in his first year as an interim and this season. I think he's a great defensive-minded head coach. I think that's maybe where we've seen that success in Northwestern shine through. I think some of that Northwestern fans are hoping to see that offense really turn on. But overall, I think he's done a great job for a program that really struggled before he came in, and he's turned the ship and righted the ship. And I think there's a big opportunity, especially towards the end of this season, hopefully making a bowl game, and then with a brand new fresh start next season with the stadium. And that's a big opportunity for him to recruit. That's a place where Northwestern fans have been sort of frustrated with him. Not getting in the big recruit. A lot of those 3 stars getting beat out by schools in the area like Illinois and surrounding Midwest schools. I think having a stadium like that and having sort of momentum coming off a hopeful bowl appearance this season could be a big thing for Braun.
You mentioned the stadium, and I know India put a photo up of that earlier on, but it's really cool. Like, I mean, and we talked offline a little bit, but you maybe want to explain to sort of USC fans. I know there's games in the Coliseum, but what's it been like covering games in this like temporary stadium for Northwestern?
It's unique. Sometimes we'll have people visit and come in and say, this is like covering a high school game, the way that they set up the press box and everything. But it's fun when you only have to do it once, right? It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous stadium. the students really show out for it. I think it makes it a lot easier. Students really love that it's on campus. When the games are at Ryan Field, you got to walk like half an hour or take a shuttle, and those can get really crowded. It's sort of a hassle to get down there. Here, it's really easy for the students to get to. So you have a great environment. You also have this absolutely gorgeous view, and I think the novelty of it makes it a bit exciting as well.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, USC played at Oregon State in Corvallis, and they were half their stadium was gone, and we were in like shipping container kind of stuff. So it sounds like similar.
That's what it's like here, right? Like I covered the Oregon game. That was my first home game on campus, and I couldn't see half the field. It was like I could see from like the end zone to the 40-yard line on, and I couldn't see the rest of the field.
From the press, like that's crazy.
That definitely makes life difficult. So glad you'll get to come to the Coliseum on Friday. Great place to watch a game.
I hope so.
Anna, so Penn State, the last road win for Northwestern was at Penn State, and I know Penn State's had their issues this year, but how much confidence did that game give this Northwestern group that they can come into the Coliseum and potentially pull off an upset? USC's been so good at home, but I have to imagine winning at Penn State gives this group some kind of belief that they can pull off an upset.
Oh yeah, I mean, it makes it so much easier when Coach Braun can preach all these things like it's gonna come, it's gonna happen, but when it actually happens, that's where you start to see the magic happen. I think Preston Stone before that game had a lot of problems maybe with his confidence. Coach Braun liked to iterate a lot that it's been a progression for Stone to sort of realize, hey, I don't need to carry the team on my back. I don't need to do everything. I don't need to be the reason we win. I just have to do my job. And I think that was a huge help for Stone in the offense. And we saw that in Nebraska, right? I think Nebraska, for me personally, was a closer game than I expected it to be. And I know Preston Stone didn't play his best game, but this Northwestern team knows it can compete against good teams in the rowdiest of environments.
The Northwestern Wildcats get a bye week coming into this one. It's a short week for USC. We were in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I think the team lands at like 3 a.m. on Sunday. And then, Lincoln Riley made a comment in the post-game presser about, hey, Big Ten, way to do this. But what sort of advantage do you think, the Wildcats can have having that extra bye week? And I don't know if you've been to practice or, see what they've sort of been working on, or, how can it help going into this game?
I think it's funny. I'll touch on that. But Coach Braun, we don't get to go to practice, unfortunately. But Coach Braun in his press conference this week did say, like, you think about having a bye week and all the advantages that can bring, but sometimes it can be a disadvantage because you have the rust, right? You have players sitting around, especially after a loss like Nebraska. There's a lot of time to just ruminate on it. Whereas he said earlier this year, Northwestern had to deal with a short week against Western Illinois, and then they had 2 short weeks last season. And he was like, that sometimes that can be a help because you're going in, you're not thinking too hard, you're not over preparing, you're just sending your guys out there to play. But in terms of Northwestern, I think it has been a productive week for them. 3 defensive backs that are going to be key to the success, stopping a fantastic USC passing attack are hopeful to play Friday. So obviously the time to get healthy is as beneficial as it gets. Braun was also saying that had a good week of practice, good time to clean some things up. And this is really the last chance Northwestern has this season to clean everything up. It's 4 straight games from now on. They have to win a game to get to a bowl this season. And so I assume they would have put every effort they could possibly muster into fixing the things that need to be fixed in this team.
That makes a lot of sense. I'll put you on the spot, Anna. Do you have a prediction for this one yet?
Ooh, well, I think USC will pull it out. I think Maiava is due for a bounce back game after that. I think that passing attack is just brutal. I'm gonna say 24 USC 24, Northwestern 13.
Okay, lower scoring game. So the spread right now, the last I heard, was 14.5. One of those ones, though. I mean, we've seen a lot of upsets happen. It's certainly possible in this one. If Northwestern comes out ahead, what happens? What needs to happen if Northwestern's going to pull the upset, in your opinion?
The key is Preston Stone. Every game that Northwestern has lost, he's thrown multiple interceptions, and there are times where Stone looks great. It looks like this is the guy who's going to be promised for Northwestern. And other times he's missing throws, he's sloppy with the ball, and that's when Northwestern loses those games. if Stone has a good game, can keep building that connection with wide receiver Griffin Wilde, who will be key as well. That is how you look at Northwestern success. Is Stone there? Is Stone here today? Is he going to be the guy who he was at SMU before he went down with that gnarly injury, or are we going to be sloppy with the ball and turn the ball over?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so multiple turnovers, no wins. So that might be one of my 3 keys to victory.
I think it should be.
Thanks for the help there. One last one before I let you go. Again, really appreciate your time. Special teams wise, where has Northwestern been? USC's had really good field goal kicking with Ryan Sayeri. He's 14 of 15. They haven't punted that much, but the punter's been pretty effective. They gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. So, it's been pretty good. What's it been like on the Northwestern side?
Yeah, I think that could actually be another key to this game in terms of punting, kickoffs, and field goals. Northwestern, isn't anything super special, but it's serviceable. They get the job done. Special teams has actually been a weakness to this team against Nebraska. That kickoff return touchdown to open the second half, that changed. It was a 1-point game heading into halftime. That changed the entire trajectory of the game. Northwestern might walk out with a win from Lincoln if that doesn't happen. And I talked to Paul Creighton, Northwestern special teams coordinator, that week about that, and they knew that was going to be a problem, and they still couldn't stop it. And even in Penn State, a muffed punt and a blocked punt, they find a way to come out of that one. But it's been sloppy for Northwestern this season, and I think USC has a big chance to capitalize there.
Interesting. All right. Well, you want to give her the applause there?
Absolutely.
That's good. Anna Watson, doing a great job. Crushing it. Like hour and a half notice, just comes on this. Yeah, let's go live and talk about some USC football. We'll see you in the press box. You're going to be in the press box?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
there. Yes.
We'll come by and say hello, and thank you again for coming on the show. Hope you have your fun trip to California for your first time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I hope I said some interesting things.
Yeah. No, you did.
Definitely. Yeah. Big help.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Anna Watson, everybody, covering Northwestern, doing a great job. And thank you. Yeah, that was good. That was cool. We got some insights from what's going on there.
India, welcome back.
Thank you.
You're here.
Woo! I'm here.
It's good stuff.
That was great, though.
That was
'cause
awesome.
Northwestern, I watched that Nebraska game, but they're not a team that I've seen a ton of, so just any opportunity to fill in some blanks was helpful.
The fans were loving it. They said great info.
Oh, that's good.
They're loving it.
I know we did a little kind of quick intro to start the show because we had her wait. She was in the chamber. We just needed to load it up. It's harder to kind of add the middle of the show, so we kind of wanted to start off. So my apologies with India had to
I walked in. I was like, "Who's this?"
What's going? Yeah, she literally walked in. I had to tell her here's what's happening. She's like, okay. She's just because she's automatic. That's what she.
Thank you.
She does. Didn't get to mention Trader Joe's at the top of the show, but I just went over there. I did some breakfast burritos at home and just get everything at Trader Joe's. I got the eggs. The sausage was good. I sausage and bacon. I love the bacon over there at Trader Joe's. I get the maple one, but I bought breakfast sausage for the first time. So it's raw, and then I put it on a cookie sheet and put it in the oven for 400 degrees with bacon, sausage, and those frozen hash brown patties.
Okay, I was going to ask about those.
All of them on the cooking sheet. It made it really easy, so you can cook them all at once. You get a little of the bacon grease and sausage grease onto the hash brown patties and stuff, and man, put it all together in a burrito, and it was legit. So.
You saw me just eat lunch, but I could go for one of those right now. That sounds good.
It was pretty good. But yeah, over at Trader Joe's, I know the new newsletter is out, and the fall one is always awesome because of Thanksgiving. So a lot of cool stuff. I was in there. I think I was in there twice this week. But there's some of the fall things are coming out. If you want pumpkin pie stuff and everything, for Thanksgiving. So thanks again to Trader Joe's for being a great partner with the Peristyle Podcast.
Shout out Trader Joe's.
Could you jinx?
Jinx.
Someone owes somebody a Coke. I feel like I know more about Northwestern now.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Anna, for doing that.
Somebody mentioned in the chat, too, that it looked like the line moved down to 13.5.
It depends on where you have it. I saw still 14.
Latest I saw this morning was 14.5. Yeah, we're going to do our picks with 14.
Now down to 14 on DraftKings.
Oh, there you go.
I always go to DraftKings. I like their
You like DraftKings?
interface.
All right. yeah, so we'll see which direction to go. We're going to be picking on the 14.5. So whatever. But yeah, that's I kind of agree with her. I don't know if it'll be that low scoring, but I kind of feel it's going to be. It's tough. I mean, it's a well-coached team, you know, and
yeah, one of the fewest penalized teams in the country. They're limited. Preston Stone isn't a great quarterback, as Anna mentioned. He's had some rough games this year, but I kind of just like the makeup of Northwestern. I have a lot of respect for them. I like those teams that are defense first, and they don't have a lot of talent, but they got a coach who people believe in, and I think it's very challenging to have a really bad year and then fix it. And Brian, it looks like he's on the right track doing that.
Yeah, that first year was really good because they were terrible, and then they're good, and then last year they were pretty bad. Bounced back, and I think what's given me pause a little bit is that we saw what Nebraska's good pass defense did against. I thought USC's pass defense would be able to overcome that, but it was on the road and everything. Now maybe it's a different story at home. Northwestern's pass defense isn't as good as Nebraska's, and they haven't played the kind of quarterbacks, but still, they were able to limit things that you could do in the passing game. And if you're going to watch what Nebraska did, I think there could be a blueprint to slow things down for Jayden Maiava. So I think this is an important game for Jayden Maiava to be able to turn things around and get this thing rolling again, because they were rolling. Even in when the Notre Dame game, he still played pretty well, and there was
his last 5 quarters haven't been great.
Yeah, that one was a tough one, but I mean they couldn't run the ball, so there was a lot of pressure on him, and I felt he still stepped up and did well. Nebraska, there was just 9 of 23 is going to get it done. They needed the run game in that game, and that's what came up. So in this one, I think you're going to have the run game. It's probably going to work pretty well, but then you're also you're going to need him if you're going to cover this spread. He can't have the kind of anything close to the passing output he had against, in Lincoln there.
Right. They can still win, though, if he doesn't play particularly well because USC just has more talent. And I think this will be another big game for the Trojan offensive line and King Miller, of course. Maybe Brian Jackson gets going a little bit more than he has. But after what King Miller did against Nebraska, and to hear Anna talk about how Northwestern has similar defensive issues against the run to Nebraska, that makes you feel pretty good about the USC running game just after last week. So I think it's going to be kind of similar to that Nebraska game, except it's inside the Coliseum, of course, and the secondary for Northwestern is good. Probably not quite as good as Nebraska's, but a lot of similarities between those two teams. And if you watch that Nebraska-Northwestern game, Northwestern was driving to potentially tie the game at the end. They had a 4th and long. Preston Stone threw up a ball to that top receiver. It's not Wild, it's Wilda. I think that's how Anna said it. He spelled Wild, but that's not how he pronounces it. And he was grabbed, and they didn't call it, and Northwestern potentially could have tied the game.
Yes, that was a bad call.
If that had been called, but, it's not the end of the world. It wasn't totally egregious. It was a small grab. It was one of those that could have gone either way. The point is, you see what Northwestern did against Nebraska, and you think, oh, they lost by a touchdown. Well, they were very close to tying that game up at the end, and I think it's going to be a good test for USC on a short week, a good chess match that I'm looking forward to seeing how the clashing styles play out.
Yeah, and she had a good point on sometimes the bye week doesn't help you. USC's bye week completely helped coming off a loss, going into the Michigan game. They made it their Super Bowl. They played really well. Didn't help a whole lot going after the Notre Dame loss and going into Nebraska, not playing all that great. And I think, just the focus after that, it's like, okay, well, you're instantly on to the next game, and it's a short week. So it might be beneficial that if USC played well out of the bye week, maybe there'd be something, but not playing that well out of the bye week and just having to turn things around and get ready, we'll see if that could be a benefit for the Trojans. But, these are young people, like, playing a sport. It could be different. It's different every week, right? Like, India knows, like, it's different all the time. She's in that range where I'm not.
I know.
Connor's closer, but yeah.
I'm young out here.
I also think USC treated the Michigan game like a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that is why we saw that great comeback performance. And you can only treat one game in a given year like your Super Bowl, right? So the fact that Nebraska, the start looked a little bit different. Yes, ideally you'd want to start better after a bye, but just the fact that they won the game, that was the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, injury updates or anything from practice? You guys were out there. yesterday. You can chime in too, India, if anything you saw or anything.
Jamal Jarrett out for the year. I think it's a knee, but Lincoln Riley just said he had season-ending surgery, so that's why we haven't seen much of him. I'm a little confused as to when it happened because he went through an extensive warm-up before that Notre Dame game and then didn't play. So maybe it happened in practice or maybe it had happened before that and it got a little bit worse as the weeks went on. But anyway, he's out for the year. Riley said Killian O'Connor and Floyd Boucard are progressing well, but he wouldn't say if they were going to play or not on Friday night. The short week probably doesn't help those two, but we'll have to see. Alani Noah did not practice after getting injured against Nebraska, but talking to Chris, he thinks it's possible that Noah still plays, so I don't think just because he didn't suit up initially yesterday, that doesn't mean he's out for sure. A few guys on the offensive line were dealing with some maintenance things. Lincoln Riley said Wayman Jordan, you won't see him for at least a couple weeks, and just based on what he was saying, it sounds like it could be season-ending because it's so hard to come back from that tightrope surgery as a running back, but he didn't rule out a potential return for Jordan. I'm trying to think off the top of my head anyone else.
That sounds, yeah.
Jacoby Lane is dealing with some stuff, and we'll see how he fares. It's just the classic end of the year home stretch where guys are going to have some bruises, and
yeah.
If you can tough it out, you can tough it out. If you got to miss a week, you got to miss a week. A lot of guys are in that camp, but there's nothing new outside of the Noah thing from that Nebraska game, I don't think. So we'll just have to see.
Rub some dirt on it. Yeah, it could be Kalon Miller's first start.
Yeah, and
potentially.
he was tremendous. That I was talking with Chris about this on Instant Analysis. I think the offensive line play, despite all of the adversity that they faced this year with Wingfield going out and the injuries that they've had, that's been the story of the year for me, especially now as Maiava comes back down to earth a little bit. If the offensive line didn't play well against Nebraska, USC for sure loses that game. Combine a poor performance with from the quarterback with poor offensive line play, they would have been cooked. So the King Miller's a great story too, but I just think the offensive line this year, when you say why is USC 6-2, what's the number one reason? I start there.
I know. I think you're 100% right. I mean, we've seen years past, there's probably been 3 or 4 injuries on the offensive line that could derail your season, and it has. It's not like something that you can imagine like a losing. You know, everyone talked about Elijah Page being like the one, you know, the rock of this, point. And then you lose him for a couple of games. I mean, that'd be lights out for these other teams. And you're like, oh, when he came back, you were like, is he going to get Wally pipped? You know, there was talk of that. So, you know, oh, you lose your center. First of all, having the former walk-on become your center, and then how important he was, and then losing him and what that's been like, and to be able, you know, one injury moving 3 guys, and it's almost been a different lineup every single game. And you can't really point to a game and go, yeah, the offensive line is what cost USC in this one. Like, if anything, it's been a big positive. And to have that week after week, when every lineup is essentially been different, like how many changes have there been? There's been so many. And it'll be another one if, you know, Miller ends up starting his first game. So, and if you just don't see a drop off there, and that's kind of what you want. You don't want to know about the referees. You don't really want to hear about the offensive line, and you haven't really heard about it. And if you're running the ball well, and your quarterback's not getting sacked, and you're not hearing about a bunch of penalties and stuff, obviously things are going well. And it's shocking to me that you could have all of these injuries and all of these changes and different starting lineups, even when they were healthy, where they moved Tobias Raymond, was it like right tackle to left guard or whatever, or he went to left tackle. And
he did everything that you said.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, and your guys are still performing well. So yeah, I agree. I think it's got to be last year it was like Woody Marks. I think this year it's, King Miller. It's been good, but I think the offensive line is a big one.
Absolutely, and the fact that Kalen Miller can just come in and play as well, if not better, than Alani Noah, and King Miller to some extent is similar to what he's done at the running back spot. That's amazing. That guy's that low on the depth chart can be reliable, because just last season, we all go back to that Michigan game when USC's offensive line was really bad, especially in the first half. And then the year before that last Caleb Williams year against Notre Dame, Caleb was running for his life. The offensive line had a lot more experience based on just individual guys that year, but not a lot of experience together. This group this year, they have more experience together just because, for the most part, they're all homegrown guys outside of Big General Reed. So the development piece that Lincoln Riley talks a lot about, the offensive line is the poster child for what they've spoken about. And yeah, I'm with you. Story of the year.
We saw Micah Benuelos was dressed too. I think he was. And Zacharias was dressed as well. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Benuelos was dressed. He's still limited, but a step in the right direction for him because he didn't dress at all for that Nebraska game. And if he comes back, I wonder how that affects the equation. Maybe would he start at guard over Caleb Miller? Or did Caleb Miller do so well? If Noah can't play, that he would go. So they have decisions when in the past it was like, Mason Murphy, get in there. Oh, God, what did we just do? Why is Mason Murphy? It's changed a lot.
That is a good point. You're like, yeah. Oh, Tim, got a comment there?
Yep.
Yeah. He's done an amazing job. Like, I think for all that, and you have a new offensive line coach who was like coaching tight ends before. Pretty impressive. I mean, he's shown that he's not just a big guy out there. He's if it's development, if he's pulling the right strings, is getting guys ready. Next man up is, people talk about next man up, but it's not always the case. Like, it's literally been that with the offensive line.
And even that Notre Dame game where they didn't play particularly well on the offensive line, it wasn't a situation like Michigan where it was so bad that it was like, okay, it was like watching a car accident. It just wasn't a very solid performance, but still their worst game this year, way better than their worst game a year ago. And their best games obviously have been better than a year ago too. But Lincoln Riley also talks a lot about, your bad plays can't be so bad. You got to stay right in the middle. If you have really good plays, that's good. But if your bad plays are bad, that's a problem. And against Notre Dame, I didn't think they had too many bad plays. It just wasn't as good as what we've been used to this year. And that was a big change from a year ago too.
Yeah. We had some other news, and I don't know if you guys have other stuff you want to bring up, but the college football playoff rankings came out, and I think the significant thing, yes, USC is number 19. I don't think it matters that much. You just wanted to be – you need USC to be relevant, and so the last couple of years, they're just – by this time –
I think they were in the 2023 rankings.
Initial one.
And then it kind of all went to shit.
Yeah. So I guess that could still happen, but I think –
no, it's different this year.
yeah, it feels different. You want to be in the conversation that if you win out, like you're in. You lose one more game, then you'd be like, well, you could potentially get in. Like there's Texas has a chance. They're ranked pretty high, and they could.
I think a 3-loss SEC team is the only.
Yeah,
team
and like
that would
Tennessee's
get in
3-loss, and they're number 25 right now. But yeah, but I think the fact that USC is in the conversation is good. You need to be there, and if they finish 9-3 and the one loss is at Oregon, that's great. But you can't go lose on Friday. I think you really got to beat a good Iowa team that's ranked right around where you are.
Yeah, they're 20.
Yeah, so that's it. But just to be ranked I think that's what matters. Like USC's, in the discussion. When it comes up on the screen, I didn't watch this thing live, but when it comes up on the screen, like, don't they do like a 3-hour show or something? I'm not even getting ESPN right now, so I couldn't watch it anyway. I didn't even watch Monday Night Football. I was just like, should I find an alternative? Because I have YouTube TV and they have a dispute right now. And I was like, I watched like a movie or something. So
Their loss.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm not changing this stuff because you guys figure this out. But yeah, so that show or whatever, at least USC's on the show. So that's what's significant to me.
I agree. And it's different than 2023, of course, where we expect USC to not totally just fall over their own feet here to end the year. Very winnable game against Northwestern. Iowa will be tough, but winnable game. And then if you put yourself in a position where there's 4 games left and there's one game on paper that is challenging, like, hey, any given Saturday, I don't think they'll go into Eugene and win, but if it's set up where they just got to win that one and potentially beat UCLA to get in, it's certainly better than what we've seen the past couple years. And that's why the Nebraska win was so huge. I was critical of USC's performance, but the most important thing was getting that victory because now it sets them all up for the rest of the year here, and it's going to be a fun finish.
I think if you're looking at the Oregon game, because we know how much emphasis is going to be placed on that by Landanning. We call him Landanning. Dan Lanning. Podcast of Champions, we call him Landanning. But for the recruiting purposes and all that, I think you're going to get an A game or, at least preparation and effort out of Oregon for USC. But if you're just looking at Oregon, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do at Iowa this week.
Huge game.
If you had to pick, like, you had to go on the road to play Indiana or Ohio State or Oregon, like, you're picking Oregon all day. So at least of the three big ones in the conference right now, I mean, Oregon might not even be the big three. Like, there's two for sure. And is Oregon in there?
I think they're three, but they got to prove it.
They do,
Saturday.
yeah. Like, there's a chance that they don't make it. Iowa and USC play each other. They both play Oregon. One of them could make it in. Like, this could be a weird sort of, and everyone could beat each other, and maybe the Big Ten's only a two-bid league. I doubt that would happen, but there's going to be interesting to see. Oregon's tough, but it's not like playing Indiana or Ohio State right now, from what I've seen.
I agree. Let's see who ends the year strong, just because 1 week doesn't necessarily figure it all out. You know what I mean? Like, 1 week, things could change, is what I'm trying to say. And we'll see if Oregon finishes strong.
Yeah.
Should we get into some voicemails?
Oh, we could. Is there anything else? We can take a break in a second and then do that. Is there any other topics? Anything was going on in the chat, India, that people wanted to hear about? Or we can do it in the.
There's a couple questions. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to save it till the end.
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, why don't we do that? Well, let's take a quick break. And we'll come back. We got some voicemails, and we'll get your questions and talk a little bit more about USC and Northwestern. All righty.
All right.
Yeah, we're back.
I just like to say that.
Go ahead. You
say,
wanna do it?
No. I'm just imitating you.
You can do whatever. All righty. We're back here on the Peristyle Podcast. A little bit different show today because we had our special guest, Anna Watson. And so funny, first trip to California. I wonder if she made it to Penn State. She probably did. That's good.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I hope she doesn't run into any flight delays with this government shutdown. Flying in the day of the game could be risky.
Oh, is that what she said? She's flying.
She said flying in Friday morning.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hopefully it works out pretty well. But yeah, we got some questions. You want to do voicemails first?
Let's do it.
India? Okay, whatever you like.
Let's do it.
Hey, Ryan, I'd like to remind the Peristyle that years ago we had a problem with the air raid passing game against any kind of drop 7 or drop 8. Hard to get somebody open with that kind of coverage. You have to run on it. We said it back then, and Riley did run quite a bit, but he gave up on the run game in the red zone. I guess he was trying to fool them. We got to lean on our running game, especially with all these home games coming up, the road game at Oregon. Our offense has so many passing threats that the defense has got to be weak against the run because they got to cover the receivers and watch out for the running backs. So run the ball. Curtis from Moreno Valley.
Yeah. If you remember back in the Graham Harrell days, I mean, that was the whole, like, drop 8 all the time. And Curtis was a big proponent of, hey, run the ball. And Lincoln Riley's run the ball. They've run more than they've thrown it this year, right? So it certainly happened. But, yeah, that one drive, there was a couple of really good King Miller runs, and they get to the 10 or whatever and then just throw 3 straight passes and kick a field goal. So that wasn't good.
They are running it, and I agree with Curtis. Stick with it in the red zone. Last year, USC threw the ball the 5th most times out of anyone in the country. They were number 5 in the passing plays versus running plays. This year, it's below 50%, so they're running it more than they're passing it, and it's 66th in the country. What did everyone say last year and in the offseason? Run the ball more. It's exactly what they're doing. The numbers bear it out, and it's a big reason, I think, they're 6-2.
Yeah, that's a good reason. That was Curtis. I thought we had more voicemails. We only had one today that I loaded there. So I might have missed one, so my apologies if I did. But we can blame India.
Yep.
So it's
I'll take it.
No, that's fine. That's not.
Well, me. Should we get into some emails?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. First email. Any update on Wayman Jordan's recovery? Do you think King Miller would remain the starter if Jordan came back for, say, the Oregon game? Also, Lincoln Riley previously stated that Eli Sanders was out for the year, but on the availability report for Nebraska, Sanders was listed on the out column, not the out for season column. So which is it, Dylan?
He's out for the year, and Wayman Jordan could be out for the year. I asked him yesterday, as I said earlier. Lincoln Riley said 2 weeks. He'll be back at the absolute earliest, but because of his position and the nature of the injury, there's a difference between being medically cleared and being football cleared, and it sounds like he may not be ready in the 2 weeks, but we'll just have to see. And if he did come back, I think, and he was totally good, he'd be the starter over King.
Cool.
Cool. So I was just checking to see if we had comments on Spotify.
Let's see.
Alicia.
Here's another one. That one was from Dylan. This one is from Sir Eric of Troy. Here's a question for both Ryan and Connor. Let's say we don't make the playoffs but go 9-3. What bowl game would you predict for us? Same question if we go 8-4. Looking forward to your answer so I can possibly do some pre-planning.
Don't listen to me on these, Eric. There's a lot of things I don't like. I mean, I love college football. It's like my favorite thing. Okay. Some things I don't like is awards watch lists. I don't like those at all. There's just, I get tons of emails about this guy's on this watch list or whatever. And there's semifinalists that include like 100 people. Like, that's not a semifinalist. Come on. I don't need this stuff. And also bowl projections, I think, are the biggest waste of time because it changes so much. No clue what would happen in the bowl situation. There's so many things that are going to happen between now and the end of the season. And people do it. They start doing bowl projections from like the first week of the season. And I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I have zero interest in bowl projections. So I'm not the person to ask.
Well, Eric, I'll try to answer your question. In the most recent bowl projections that I've seen, sorry, Ryan, I do look at those. The Alamo Bowl, that's where a lot of people have USC. But like Ryan said, stuff can change in an instant. If USC wins out, they obviously wouldn't go to the Alamo Bowl. So that seems to be a popular one. Here's my prediction. We've been able to drive to the last two bowl games, the Holiday Bowl in San Diego 2 years ago, Vegas last year. I'm predicting a flight this year. I think it's going to be either Texas or something else. I think we've gotten lucky that we've been able to drive and not have to fly, and our luck is going to run out.
That's probably fair. Although I would like the drive. It's nice, But yes. Okay. We go with that. Alamo, is the El Paso one? Is that still affiliated?
So the Alamo Bowl, the reason that that's getting picked is because it is you can be eligible if you are a legacy Pac-12 team. So USC, this is the last year of that. Where they could play in the bowl unless it gets switched. So I'm not exactly sure about that other bowl game. Who
the Sun Bowl or Tony the Tiger, Sun Bowl in El Paso. That was always when you're like, ugh. One of my college girlfriends was from El Paso, so went there for Thanksgiving or something one year and flew in for the first time.
Sun Bowl's the same, the former Pac-12 teams. So
you can do it?
Can be eligible for that one too.
But I just remember so if you land at LAX, it's we're starting our initial descent and you look out the window and there's city. You're in 45 minutes of city as you're El Paso, you're looking out the window and there is nothing.
Cows.
Tumbleweeds. And cows would be great. I don't even think there's that.
Oh, wow.
And you're to the point where when you're about to switch your phone, out of airplane mode, you're about to hit the ground, you don't see anything. The runway is just nothing until the runway. And they're where are we? Boston's kind of weird because you can fly in over the ocean and stuff, but this is just pasture or whatever as you're landing the plane. I'm we're in a city here? What? You don't see any of it when you're landing at the El Paso airport. So.
That is too funny. All right, we got quite a few questions.
Okay.
If we want to get into them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's see. Okay, we've got one from James. Let me pull it up. Question on the last game. Why was the pass interference call on Hines in the end zone not spotted at 2-yard line?
Did he get interfered with before that? Is that what the question is? I'd say just be happy it got called, right?
Yeah, I think if it's in the end zone, then it comes out to the 2. But unless it's further, was it the distance was.
Well, isn't it half the distance of the goal?
But if it's within, I think that in the end zone though, they'll do it to the 2-yard line. But if it's like from
so
30,
that's what he's asking about, the spot, not.
yeah. But if it's like 30 yards out, I think you still have to do like half the distance or whatever. But if you're within like, if you're at like the 15-yard line, it's not half the distance. It's at the 2, I believe. If that's the, maybe I got that wrong.
Was it within the 15?
I don't remember.
Yard line? That's probably the answer. But sorry, commenter, I misunderstood your question, and I don't have a good answer for it. So it's a double whammy.
We've got a question from Craig. Connor, this is for you.
Okay.
Did I hear Connor say I'm buying in on instant analysis last night, or am I dreaming?
I don't remember. Wow, I'm killing these questions.
You're doing so good.
I'm buying in on the fact that they're improving and they're better than last year. I don't think I'm quite buying in on the playoff. Are you in the same boat? I'd imagine?
Yeah. I mean,
so,
I think it's certainly possible. Like winning out is not impossible, but it's
if they
I
play
wouldn't say
like
it's
they did
probable.
against Nebraska, it's impossible.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
but
that.
I would say it's not probable.
No, but I'm buying in on they're improved,
Yeah,
which isn't exactly a hot take.
I think show something Friday. I don't think you have to beat Northwestern by the spread, but just come home short week, get a win. If it's 10 points or whatever, like fine. Like look pretty good. Have Jayden Maiava play a little bit better, cleaner game, and then it's all going to be, hey, can you beat Iowa at home? And that's like however you can do it. Doesn't matter. It's a good team. They're going to, any mistake you make, they're going to make you pay. Like if they're going to have good special teams, they're going to play good on defense.
And their quarterback is finally competent after years of Iowa's quarterback.
Right. And he was
being
not
terrible.
competent to start the season or whatever. So if you can do that and then you're sitting at 8-2 and it's like, okay, well now all the chips should be in trying to beat Oregon on the road. And no shame if you can't do it and it's not expected to happen, but if you're able to, then you just have to take care of business at UCLA and you're going to the playoffs. So I feel there's a good progression here towards the end of the season. And it starts Friday, just play pretty good against Northwestern. You should be able to out-athlete them, but it's a well-coached team too. I think it's another team that can take advantage of your mistakes, where Nebraska is sort of like closer to USC where they're going to make a bunch of those mistakes too. I think you're going to see a cleaner game from Northwestern, but not necessarily pushing the envelope with like what they can do athletically, if that makes sense.
That running back for them is emerging, so
Yeah.
he's the key to slow down. But I agree with you, especially if Preston Stone plays the whole game, then he can force you into some mistakes, even though he makes mistakes on his own. That Nebraska game totally changed when Raiola went out.
Yes.
Craig wrote a follow-up. He said, think it was the culture, but buying into the leadership of the program.
Yes, I am buying into the culture. We talked to Cameron Crawford last night for a House of Victory interview that'll be coming out later this week. And he talked about how everyone on the team has the same goal, which is important, but it just feels different than last year and even the year before. And winning, of course, helps with your culture, but it just got kind of toxic at the end the last couple of years. And even if USC say they lose 2 here and end the year 8-4, I still think the culture will be good. Lincoln Riley's done a really nice job of that, and seeing what the Miller twins have done and people lower on the depth chart waiting for their turn, the culture on this team seems really good to me and much better than the last couple of years, similar to that first year.
Yeah.
Our next question from Trojan fan. Does Notre Dame scheduling Auburn in the next few years jeopardize talks with USC?
Connor brought this up earlier, which is interesting.
I can ask about that. I don't have an answer, but the first game I think is scheduled for September, and then the second one is scheduled for October. So if USC is pushing for that September game, I wonder, I'd have to look to see what Notre Dame's schedule looks like September of 2027. And we don't have to get into this stupid debate again, Ryan, but what did I say? They'll be able to schedule anyone.
I thought you didn't want to get it, They have limitations in the beginning of the season. That's all I got.
But no one needs the other. That's all I'm saying.
And you're wrong, and that's
No,
okay.
I'm not. Today shows that I'm right.
It does not.
Why not? All right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We've got a question from Big E. We kind of talked about this earlier. But do we expect Kalen Miller to start this week at guard? Trojans ran that GT counter where backside guard and tackle pulled to tremendous success against Nebraska.
It depends on who's available. If Micah Benuelos is good to go, I wonder if they'll go with Micah over Kalen. But Kalen's the backup right guard. So if Alani Noah can't go, I think it would be Miller, even though Benuelos could play both spots. He filled in earlier this year for Alani. I don't really know. And it's a good problem to have because all three guys are serviceable to pretty good.
Yeah. They do love pulling pulling the guards, tackles, like these counter things that they like to run. And it's really effective. They kind of end up being these quick hitters. And I think King Miller is just someone that hits that hole really effectively. Like we've seen Brian Jackson kind of run some of those, and it's not, I don't know, it's just not quite as clean and crisp. Like he's able to sort of find that crevice and get through because there's a lot of moving parts, and you know it's looking one way and the guard, offensive lineman pulling the other way, and he's just able to kind of hit it quick. And he didn't have a huge run in the game. 16 yards was the longest one, and to still have 128 yards or whatever he had.
He just had so many of those 10 to 16
yeah.
yards. It was very impressive.
There was just a lot of those. And if you can, it's one thing to have like a 60-yard run and then, all your other ones are like 3 or 4 and you still had a pretty good numbers day. This was not that. This was every time he touched the ball, it was like, if you're now in 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3, it's like, wow, that's a big deal. Or you're picking up the first down. So he just there's some knack there for, and I'm sure some running back expert could tell you more, but just the way he's able to sort of hit it so quickly. And with Brian Jackson, there's power and stuff there, but he's able to just kind of find the opening, how small it is, and I think his vision is really good, where he knows which way he needs to cut. And to have like 3-4 yards before anyone's touching you, and then be able to go another 3 or 4, it's just so many effective runs for him.
It's been really impressive. Riley said that the first run for King Miller he didn't think was good because Miller just kind of fell down. And then the rest of the way, he was running much more physical, and he was pushing the pile versus getting pushed back.
Yeah. It's like one thing to push the pile right away. It's the other thing is to like get through a bunch of the ways and then push the pile, And I feel like with Brian Jackson, we were sort of pushing right away, and then it's like you're getting resistance. There's this lack of resistance for the first 3 or 4 yards for King Miller, however he can do it. And then once he gets resistance, he doesn't go down. He kind of pushes through.
And one other quick thing on the running back. So Brian Jackson has been up and down, but Harry Dalton had 1 carry, and I think he played like 3 or 4 snaps. The first intentional grounding call, Dalton was slow to block the free rusher that was coming right at Maiava. And Jackson hasn't been great in pass protection, but for Dalton to usurp him and take over that second running back spot, I think he would need to just be better with the pass protection stuff. And the fact that he hasn't played a whole lot, it's key for Jackson to take a step forward, because USC, as the games get tougher, are going to need 2 running backs, and I don't think Dalton's quite ready. Jackson needs to be that second guy.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Mark. He asks, how long are you out for a concussion?
Depends on the severity.
Yeah. I mean, a week is usually like sort of like, but this is a shorter week. I think Chris mentioned this on Instant Analysis, that if it's a week 1 and that's what he has, then it might not be, you might not be able to go. If it was like a Friday game followed by a Saturday game, it might make it a little easier for the Saturday, Friday following a Saturday, if I said that wrong. But yeah, if it was a Saturday following a Friday, you have that extra day. This way, you don't have an extra day. So if it's a week, then, it seems less likely he would be able to go. But we don't know all the details of it for sure.
Yeah, correct.
We've got a question from Trojan fan again. He asked, did anyone ever ask why linebacker coach Ryan is in the box and not on the field during the games?
No, and I imagine Lincoln Riley would just say, gives us the best chance to win, and with all his knowledge, seeing everything from that aerial view is helpful. But there's one coach on either side who's in the box, and it's Heward on offense and Ryan on defense. I think Entz was in the box last year, so Lincoln Riley, or was he?
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was too. If we're wrong on that, please say it in the chat. It sounds like that's just kind of the guy who they like to have up there, the linebacker coach.
Yeah, but Coach Harvey Hyde brought that up, and just the kind of energy that Rob Ryan has, like, it makes sense. Like, you'd kind of want him on the field. So, yeah, maybe we can ask. I think Connor's right, though. That's the answer you're going to get. But, you know, kind of throwing it out there in the universe and see if something changes. But those high-energy guys, like, you know, I wouldn't want Ed Orgeron in the press box. I want him on the field, you know, like grabbing people's face masks and acting like an idiot. Like, I want Rob Ryan saying some funny stuff to players, like coming off the field, you know.
We've got a question from Thomas. Hey, Automatic, Trip Dubs, and Boss Man. What was your first thought when you saw Lincoln Riley dial up a trick play on the very first drive of the game? Thanks.
I tweeted about it, and people were like, why are you so negative? I hated it. What are you doing? Just run a regular play. If you're going to run the ball with King Miller. Why'd you have to do that weird sweep to Lemon? It didn't work. I don't know why they thought that was a good opening script kind of play. Didn't like it. Haven't really loved the play calling the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. And that's a weird one where you have all these guys off to the side. And someone on Twitter like broke down, like, it didn't really, you're trying to change
Nebraska
the numbers.
Confused too, and they were not confused.
No, they were like, it didn't hurt. It hurt you more than it hurt the opponent. And it seemed like something you'd want to set up, you know, not like the third play of the game. And yeah, like it's like one of those things where you need a like out call of that, where like if you move those guys over and you see like where you want to run the play, you want to get numbers like they actually made the numbers worse for them where they were going to run the play than where all the other guys were. And I think you need some sort of out call, like, you know, whatever, and then bring everybody back and just run a regular play. If we move these dudes over and we still have bad numbers where we're trying to get some kind of numeric advantage, they didn't have it, and you still run it and it didn't work. So yeah, that was a weird one for me, especially like I think it was the third play of the game. Right?
It was.
I thought the same thing. I was like, what are we doing? This is a little too early, I think, for all of this. We've got a question from Dylan in Albuquerque. Any significance to USC being ranked the highest of the Big Ten second-tier teams above Iowa, Michigan, and Washington?
Just because they beat Michigan. I don't think the rankings have any significance until it gets to the very end and you're in the mix. If you have 2 losses, you're in. If you have 3, you're out. And that's what I'd pay attention to. I would not pay too much attention to where everyone is right now. It's going to work itself out like it does every year.
Yeah, like if you keep winning, Washington gets to play Oregon, like, oh, they beat Oregon, they're going to move up, you know. If Michigan and USC have a different number of losses and USC has one more than Michigan, they'll go above them, you know. I think that's, Iowa and USC play each other. So it's sort of just like where they are now, whatever. It's going to, the results of the next few weeks are going to matter a lot. I think there's some things like, Connor was bringing this up earlier because I didn't dive deep down into like what's everyone have an issue with, but having a 2-loss Miami team being several spots behind a 2-loss Notre Dame team that they played head-to-head and Miami won, a lot of people, analysts I talked to before the rankings came out, thought that was a blocker, that Miami would have to be above Notre Dame. And maybe at the end of the season, they would be, as things start of, there's a lot of one-loss teams from the ACC in there and like the teens, they'll drop down. But if Miami and Notre Dame end up both with 2 losses, I think it's going to be really hard for the last rankings to have Notre Dame above Miami, even though they're significantly above Miami now, because they do have that head-to-head. So, yeah, I don't think there's any sort of lockout right now. USC still controls its own destiny. Just roll through the rest of but you got to beat Oregon on the road and everything. But you'll be in the playoff if you do that. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about, well, there's no way they can climb up. Arizona State wasn't ranked last year in the initial rankings, and they were the number 3 seed, or 4 seed, 3 seed, I forget what they were.
And they should have beaten Texas.
Yeah, they were that close to beating Texas.
Last question we've got from Socrates. Stifling D by USC on the field versus Nebraska and the hard court by the women of Troy. Congrats. My question, are linebackers finally attack downhill as opposed to being reactionary? Will that continue?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know why not.
Northwestern could run the ball. I tried to watch Desmond Stevens on the rewatch, and
he was really good.
He made better plays. There was a couple where he would just sort of run himself into a blocker and just take him. But for the most part, I mean, it seemed like he was filling, I don't know what the right gaps were, but it seemed like it from what I was seeing. And I have an opportunity to slow the play down or make it in the backfield. I think when he's not involved at all. And you're not that you're not making the play, but you're not even slowing things down or opening up a big hole where now, people behind you have to sort of make up for it. Everyone has their jobs to do. And I felt like he did his job a lot more in this one. So
I think the longest run for Nebraska was 20-something yards, and that only happened once. Their big runs were below 20. Johnson had a nice game, but it wasn't like the explosive runs against Notre Dame that absolutely killed you. It was a much better performance, and that should be the floor, I think, for this defense against the run. They're not playing against the Notre Dame team the rest of the way that has crazy good running backs and a dominant offensive line. Like, we know Iowa's reputation and Oregon will be able to run the ball. But if you're going to allow some big runs, make sure you can rally to the ball. And if a 15-yard run gets out, so be it. But it can't get to 60. It can't get to 70. And I thought that's what was so disappointing about the Notre Dame game. With this coaching staff, you would expect what I just described and what we saw against Nebraska, where, okay, they'll have some success, but you can't consistently get beaten with these huge runs. USC's too good for that. They're too well coached for that. And that's why that Notre Dame game, when we look back at it, it's very frustrating because, look, if USC was just not a good team and that was what was happening, I'd say, okay, they're clearly outmanned. But they put too much into this to be that bad, and it was great to see the response.
We've got one last question.
Okay.
From Fight on Natties. He asks, why does Lincoln, when he wins the toss, he always chooses to receive the ball first? It's not rocket science. Everyone knows you always defer to the second half.
I don't think he always.
No, he was asked about this at the press conference, and he said it depends on the situation, And that game, he decided to take the ball, and they went 3 and out, and they ran a trick play on third down. That didn't work.
I think when he thinks they can really beat a team and they should beat a team, they take it first. And when, especially at home, on the road, I think he likes his chances against Nebraska. And then on the flip side, if he's anticipating a really tough game and the other team might be favored or it's just going to be a challenge, whatever, he'll do the opposite. That's off the top of my head. If there's numbers that say otherwise, I apologize. But that's kind of what it seemed like to me. If they have a chance to take the ball first against the team they think they can go out and just run and gun and take an early lead on, they're going to do it. And USC, they should have done that against Nebraska, I thought. Yeah,
that was to start out 3 and out was pretty disappointing. But, give the defense credit. It was never more than a 2-score game, and it certainly should have been. The way it was going, like USC could have easily been down 2 scores. It never was. So pretty impressive there. Speaking of impressive, we don't have any more questions, right?
Nope, that's it.
I know this is not my thing, but USC basketball, you guys were at the games?
I was at
he
the
was
game.
at the women's, I was at the men's.
Yeah. I don't know, give you guys have 7 seconds to talk about each one. No, I'm just kidding. Combined. No, I'm just going to go.
I could
You wanna
start.
go
Yeah,
first? Yeah, go
the men second half looked great against Cal Poly. First half didn't look as good. Eric Musselman screamed at him at halftime and said, guys, we're way more athletic and way bigger than this team. Let's show that. And their bigs responded in a big way in the second half. And what I like is last year you just needed Desmond Claude and Wesley Yates to have a big game, and then hopefully USC would hang on. This year you can see the formula where they got the 2 stars and Chad Baker-Mazara, who didn't play very well on offense, and Rodney Rice, who was solid on offense. Both guys weren't totally efficient, but they did what they needed to do. And then you just surround those guys with a bunch of athletic freaks who can play really good defense, rim run, also shoot a little bit. I saw the vision, and for a first game, I'll take that.
Okay.
Women's game. I was excited to go watch the game. I think London Jones provided a really good spark. She came off the bench, which some people might, want to see her starting, but I actually kind of liked it in terms of the team providing some shooting and scoring off the bench and add some depth. So I actually liked her coming off the bench, and she came out with some fire energy and shot the ball really well, and had a really great first game for the Trojans. Kara Dunn, the transfer from Georgia Tech, I really liked her as well. Crashed the O boards really aggressively, can shoot the ball really well. I thought she had a really good first game as well, and somebody who, they're going to rely on heavily in terms of scoring and leadership and all those things, somebody who's really experienced coming from a successful Georgia Tech team. I thought Jazzy Davidson, I think she's going to be really good, obviously the number 1 recruit coming into college. There's nerves in your first college game, no matter if there's 20 people in the stands or there's thousands of people in the stands. It's your first college game. You're going to be nervous. And so I think I could see some of her nerves a little bit. And once she settles in, which she started to settle in, like towards the second quarter and second half. But I think she's going to be really good for the Trojans and, can really attack the basket, can score at all three levels, and her, 3-point shooting will continue to improve. And I think she's going to have a really big season for the team, and I think she's going to be really good. And once she settles in, and she's going to be good. I think the big question mark is really like the bigs. There's just a lack of experience. You have Kai Milton, who was a transfer who didn't really play that much last year. Laura Williams and Vivian also didn't play much last year as freshmen. And you have the transfer Gerda, who has some experience overseas, but again, not experience in terms of playing against college teams at the college level. I was impressed with Viv. I thought she did some really good things. I think she kind of stood out in terms of the bigs. Diana Mendez, transfer from Washington State, shot the ball really well, really good catch and shoot from three. I think she was 3 for 3. So that's, good to provide some scoring there. But I think the big thing is going to be like rim protection. Looking ahead, obviously the team they played, New Mexico State, wasn't very good. How can they defend the bigs, and how can they defend pick and rolls and aggressive guards going downhill? The guard play with New Mexico State wasn't too good. So I think that's going to be like the question mark for me. I was hoping to see some more fans at the Galen Center. I know there's no, Juju Watkins this year, but I was disappointed a little bit in kind of the fan turnout.
I was going to ask about that. Okay.
I'm hoping. I mean, it was better than like my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, but for a second I was getting like flashbacks to that, and I was like, come on, guys, we gotta get people in the building. So the next game though, we'll be at Crypto versus South Carolina, so hoping they pack it out like a home game. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It was a Tuesday, New Mexico State. It was voting day yesterday, so like I don't know, maybe people didn't come, but I was definitely a little bit disappointed. I was thinking more people would come, but it started to fill out a little bit. But like Jazzy Davidson's going to be exciting, and the team's going to be exciting, and so a lot of good things, and then saw some areas for improvement as well.
Is it weird for you, sort of?
It was super weird, yeah, because
you're
I
not
played
part of the team now.
Yeah, it was so weird because I mean, obviously played for 5 years, and then last year I was part of the staff. So the last 6 years I've like been on the bench and like been a part of game days and stuff. So it's definitely weird just like coming to my seat. It's actually so funny too. I was gonna bring a bag and I was gonna text one of the staff and be like, can I bring this in? Because I didn't even know like the bag policies and like water bottle and all that, because I'm not normally like that. And so it was so funny, but definitely was exciting to see some of their things. They did some really good things, and obviously some areas to improve upon and look at in the future. But they're gonna have a tough game at NC State and then South Carolina following that. So hopefully they'll get a win.
All right. Well, good stuff. Let you guys go, get back out to practice. But yeah, thanks. Well, especially Anna Watson coming in.
Yeah, good preview.
Nice work.
Nice
awesome. Work. Automatic. Just
Thank you.
Kind of rolling with it, and like literally told her 5 minutes before we're going live, hey, we have a guest. Here's how it's gonna work. She's like, okay, boom. Took care of it.
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
Yeah, I just throw stuff at you. It's like
I love it.
it's like a coach, just like, all right, here we're doing this today.
Exactly. No, exactly.
I was not prepared for that. Too bad. Just do it.
Yep.
But great stuff. For Connor, I'm Ryan. Automatic. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be live tomorrow night, Thursday night, Tunnel Vision, which is the day before the game because it's a Friday game at the Coliseum. But hope you guys all enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you next time.